Hi, it's Noel from UK Foamsmith and Cosplay here again. Continuing with the Cyclops build, which we've got going on at the back here. Now we're moving on to the legs. Now, because we've done moulded muscles on the torso, and then on the arms on a previous video I covered the taking of a basic template and then creating moulded muscles within that template to give it a different feel, so and to get a more organic sort of feel. So obviously we've got to continue that now throughout the build. So obviously the next position is going to be the leg armour. So again, we've got to create that moulded muscle feel. So it's definitely a case of combining the techniques that I've covered in previous videos. So I covered one on sculpted muscles, which is where you've got separate pieces which you glue together to then cover into a much more sculpted technique, which is fine, but and I do like that and I do use that a lot. But then I also covered using moulded muscles as a technique. This is actually going to require both. So what I've done, had a rummage through my files to see if I could find a piece of leg armour that would be suitable. So thankfully I've accumulated over the years many files and was able to find something that would work. So it was actually the Batman Arkham Knight, no, Arkham Origins leg armour that I managed, which I've had for ages and not built, and decided to use that as my primary base, and then from there determine what I was going to do. So then I drew in the lines of the muscles where I would think that they work. So this is your quads. So you have three main pieces. You have the centre part and you have the two larger inside and outside quads. So I drew them on. So I stuck all the templates together to have it as a single template, and then from there I, having linked them all together, I then sliced it all back up again with the muscles where I wanted them to be. So now this is the back, this is the hamstring, so this is the front, and then it loops round and then gets to the hamstring, so it's going to loop right round the leg. So with that in mind, it was kind of like, right, well, where do I put the pieces that I need to put? So having gone through it, I decided to cut these pieces out and really sort of go at the sort of sculpted muscle technique, where I cut an outside 45-degree edge on both sides, so then when it folds together it folds inwards and creates a muscle definition, and that works great for the front pieces, which are the main things on display. And then you want to then move into the hamstring area, the rear of the arm, which doesn't need to be that defined because no one's really going to be staring at the back of your legs. But I decided that, again, sticking the pieces together, I then drew in the shape of the hamstring as I determined it. And what we'll do is we'll actually do the slice and hot glue technique through that area there. And then this is just one piece that just goes on the top to extend things. So let's crack on and get that done. So where did I put my that's difficult. So I'll make for a tidy desk and a tidy mind. Okay, so I will go at it a different way. Okay, so I've got a small box cutting knife. Just got to make sure it's nice and sharp. So I've marked on the pieces where I need it to be 45 in order to get all the pieces that I need. So so on this particular piece, this is the central piece. I know you can't see it very well on camera, unfortunately it's dark here now, so I'm having to work an artificial light. So 45 out, 45 out. What I've also done, which I can show you on the templates, which would be a bit easier. So, in order to not get confused, oh, you really can't see that, can you? Okay, there it is. So I've written right and left, which is either side of the centre part of the muscle there. And what I've also done is where the point actually meets here, I've created an alignment mark on both sides, so I know that that's the point where I actually join it when I come to glue it together later. So that's what I've decided to do. So without further ado, let's crack on. So remember, the top part is also going to be 45° out, because I just want it to sort of blend up the leg a little bit rather than sort of like stonk, you know, cut straight off. So again, to keep that organic sort of feel. So starting at the top, let's reduce that way down so it won't bend. Okay, so 45° out, bevel all the way around. The point. Because I find it easier, I just turn the template around rather than trying to sort of move everything else. So again, 45° out. As I said, the benefit of this is that all the parts are 45° out, so you just continue through all your parts. The only parts that won't be with the darts, where you put it in to join the piece together, they're the only bits that are not 45°, because obviously you just want them to join together. So that's your first piece, and just take the darts out. Again, I'm just doing 90° on that. What that will do is help to curve the piece in. Yep, so take that dart out. Do the secondary dart. So I'll take that out. So that's your central part done. So to make this easier, I'm just going to cut this piece in half. So I've just got easier pieces. Now that's the hamstring and the joining part. So let's continue with the rest of the quads and stuff. So okay, so 45° out. All the way up the piece. a bit of a tricky bit because it's at the edge of a dart. But I'm just going to level that in. 45° that. To that point there. 45° there. So this is a dart that's going to join together, so that's going to be 90°. Again, I'm using 5mm because I don't want it to be too over the top. I want to look like Usain Bolt. Dart. Dart out. There we go. So that's another piece. Pop that over there as well. Cut off the excess. Nothing scrappable from there, so just go straight in the bin. Right, so 45° out again. All the way around the piece. A couple of pieces don't quite line up, so we have to do them separately, and they'll stretch together to create a curve and later point. There we go. Right, let's get these darts done. So 90° again. So this again all helps to encourage the curve, so it will fit more snugly to the leg. So I pull that part out. Darts away as well. Cut off the unsalvageable. That, for example, could fit that part, so that's worth hanging on to because I can use that again. Pop that over there. This, on the other hand, no good in the bin. It's painful to throw away foam because it does cost money. So you're always very keen to sort of retain as much as you can, but it gets to the point where you're swimming in scraps and you have to be a bit ruthless and throw some stuff out. So right, so that's those bits in front of the quad done there. So let's just do the hamstring part now. So as I said, with the hamstring part, that's actually going to be all 90° apart from the top and the bottom. So the actual side joining pieces are 90°, where they'll join. Actually, no, they will be in 45° in. So make a note on the template because I've done a 45° on the outside. So this is going to be 45° because I want it to join at 90 and 45° in. And then the top and the bottom, 45 out, 45 out. So once you've made a note on the template, you know then for next time. So we've got another leg to do, so I just want to be sure that I know what I'm doing there. So actually, yes, where this bit joins, which is at this level here, so it's 45° out that way, but this is 90°. So again, great to keep your notes on your templates, and then you know what you're doing. So from that point it's 90 degrees. Start with that. See, I missed the line, yeah? So just line the template back up again. That's it. There we go. That's a dart, one side of the dart then, so you need to know your width of your darts. Right, so bottom piece, 45 degree out. So 45 in, 45 in, 45 out, 45 out. Okay, that's that. So 45 in, easier to go down this way. So 45 degree in there, and that's where it'll join the quad part and hopefully sit at 90 degrees, which would be really nice if that all works out according to plan. This is always the gamble whenever you're modifying plates. See, I can't make templates, and I can't unfold, and I can't create unfolds. It's just outside of my skill set. So I rely on other people to do that, but that once you've got the template, there's no reason why you can't then go on to modify them to fit your needs. Just got to be a bit creative, think carefully about what you're doing, you know, tack them together and then tape them on, see how they look, see how they feel, you know, it's the way forward. Right, so it's the only way you're going to get the templates for the individual builds that you need, otherwise you're hassling the unfolders, you know, begging them for templates all the time, and you know, bless them, they're very generous, but that's, you don't want to overstep the mark. You don't want to be in a position where you are coming up like a constant beggar, and kind of abusing their talents. Right, so this is the bottom part, which I've already done 45 degree out already. So let's just make sure we join that piece. Just, there we go. Just need a little push to get into that part. That's not gone through all the way. There we go. Make sure that one is as well. That's it. Right, just one last dart to do. Good. Yep. So keep that bit. That might be useful. So I'll put that in the keep pile. This, on the other hand, is not. So I'll scrap that. Right. So this piece is going on the top. So with this piece, because it's going to go on the top, we want it 45 out. On 3 out the 4 sides. Or do we? Yes. So I'm just thinking about where this piece joins. It actually joins at this end, so your leg, it kind of comes through the centre bit here. So I was just sort of thinking about where I want that. Of course I want the soft edge on it, so yeah, so that's 45 out on that side as well. And because that's where it joins the other part of the quad, you kind of want to keep that muscle definition, so that's it, and then it feathers out at the end there as well. So yeah, so 45 out, 45 out, 45 out, and then that bit where it joins there is just a plain 90 degrees. So, and there's my scalpel. So we'll do a plain 90 degrees here. And then we'll do 45 out. There. And then the top as well. And then the final side there. Done. Okay, again quite a bit of usage that's still left in this bit, so keep pile. Okay, so that's got all the templates done. Now, obviously, as I said before, this is the kind of hamstring part that we want to do. So we turn it over, and then we reverse this part over as well to match, and then we can draw in where we want the muscle to go in. So there. There. Okay, so then we just get a knife and just cut through. Remember, not all the way through, just a good halfway through. And this is polyprops foam, which in my experience doesn't really rip once you sort of bend it back. So, but it gives you really nice definition. So, whereas with the 8mm, when we were doing, when I was doing some of the stuff on that, you can sort of, if it hasn't gone quite enough, when you bend it, it tears a little bit more. Polyprops is better quality than that and doesn't tend to do that. That's the difference between floor mats and buying the proper stuff. So, I'm going to have those templates to hand because I want to use them as reference points. Right. I'm going to heat these up and really just sort of really have that curve really going in there before I begin. So it's already got a little bit, mind you, the way it's been rolled, it's actually all sitting the right way anyway. So actually it might be alright, actually I might not need to do that. So, but I am going to put my glue gun on. Put the heat gun on there. Glue gun on in a second. I've obviously put that on and not remembered where I've done it. Warts and all, warts and all. Okay, in the meantime, I'm going to glue these parts together. So while that's curing, I'll dig out the glue gun. So obviously we're going to start with the darts. They go together before anything else. And then get that right in there. And then I'm going to do the edges. go too far with the glue on the edge, then it's not really an issue, because once you've glued to the parts that as far as it goes, then if you've gone a little bit further, it doesn't matter, because you're going to cover that up anyway with sealant and paint, so that won't actually be on display anyway. Okay, obviously I'm not doing the top lot or the bottom part, just where it joins. Okay, so that's one piece done. Again, starting with the darts, get that done. Make sure you go right to the edge, don't want that opening up. Making sure you get right down into the centre there as well. This side we definitely do it, and there's another dart there. Okay. Now we'll do the edge. Obviously this is the centre part. I really want to make sure that that's well done, because the two parts are joining to it. I don't want them peeling away. So really going thorough with the glue there, just to make sure. Second part, and I've got the third part here. Wee dart here. Just make sure we get that in. There we go. Right. So do the edge here, because this is where it joins the centre part. And the outside here where it's going to join the other part. Like I say, I don't know exactly where that's going to go. I'll start at the bottom and it will stop where it stops. So I don't have to worry how high I go, because you won't really see it. So, right. Where did I put that glue gun? So, right. Okay, so glue gun located. Just going to pop that on. That's heating up. Put the lid back on the contact cement for now. Right. Okay, so where we've got the hamstring part, where we're going to put the hot glue gun in there, I obviously want to shape that out a little bit, as I've done before. just to really create a kind of a definition within this section before we do anything else. Obviously we haven't glued this section yet, so this will be done after. So let's just heat it up first. Having heated it up, pop it over the anvil and just push it down. Okay, not a bit more of a definition on that one, so it goes back to the ball just to get that little bit of a nicer shape towards the top. I'm not going to be doing any more leg armour other than the top parts, because according to the comic book pictures, is very much a boot cover really that I'm going to need to do there, so haven't yet found a boot cover that I can adapt, so I'm still on the hunt for that one. So as soon as I find that, then I'll be in a much better position to think about where I'm going with that. It's a bit of a standard sort of superhero boot really, and there's no real detail on it, and most of the ones that I've got are quite sort of technical looking boots or boot covers, very Batman-esque, and you know, so I'm still working on it, still looking through the old files and see what I've got. So once I've got my bend in there, just going to go back in now, and hopefully the glue has warmed up enough I can put it in. Go. So I really want to define this one. I've got so many electricals running in here at the moment as I'm still on a trailing socket. I couldn't bring in a hairdryer as well, so I'm going back to the good old blowing technique. Really looking for it to go quite milky before you know it's got to a place where it's hard enough for you to be able to let it sort of flow backwards, because you don't want to lose the crease that you've created in the back there. So let's do this side now. Do this in a couple of parts. Because it's quite close to the edge, kind of makes it difficult to sort of grab a purchase on it to be able to open it up enough. There we go. A little bit more. There we go. So you don't want to lose, obviously, the gap that you've created already. And I don't really want to burn my fingers. Call me old-fashioned. So there we go, pull that from both sides, and now that's created the shape. So it's given it a nice sort of outward lift. So obviously when that all pulls together, when we glue it together, that puts us in a much stronger position. Right. Okay. So let's start. That was the third part. This was the first part. So let's glue this bit together. Actually, no, that was the centre part. The second part I did. Here we are. No, that's the centre part. Alright, it was this bit. So just really try and get those as flush as you can. You want minimum amount of seams to fix. At the end on this bit. So this one is a bit of a push and puller. Again, adds to the curve. So yeah, just dragging this together. You can see that's already really curved round just by pulling those seams together. It will need heating and forming, but I'm going to wait for the glue to set a little bit more on that before I do that. So doing the centerpiece. So you need to get all the darts done first in order to then work out how to put the pieces together. Now I'm very fortunate in the way that this has been rolled up, is that actually, and I've cut it out on the right side, it's already created quite a curve on it already, so it's kind of reducing my workload somewhat, which is always good news. Okay, final darts to do. Oh, how annoying. Forgot side. Play a bit of catch up here, so I'll go on quite lightly. One thing I'm lethal at is not putting the top back on this properly. I just dip it back on. Of course, then when I go to use it again, it's dried out. Start at this one and work our way back. And just where you get into the foot of a dart, you tend to find that the glue goes off slowest. There's just always a bit more of a build up there, so a bit of heat solves that. Just wrap that one over. Little tiny dart. Now we can put this one together. Like so. Okay, good. Right. Okay. Picked up a little bit of strandy glue from the glue gun. Let's get rid of that. Don't want that on there. Okay. Alright. So as I said, this is where you get the templates together. You've got to work out all the bits that are where. So on to, oh, that's the centre, which means the other alignment mark is there. So I don't know if you can see that, but I wrote a line to tell me where the point of the centre joins in. So that's my start point. Right, so like I say, we're trying to create a muscle definition by bringing these parts round together, so it's just a matter of just lining things up. The right way. So although you've done a 45 and a 45, so you might argue that that's 90 degrees then, so it's just going to stick straight up. Well, yeah, it will initially, but once you form all the parts together, that will change and it will curve on itself, especially with a little bit of application of heat. It should leave you in a good position to get quite a defined sort of muscle shape. Because it's only 5mm foam, it's a little bit more manipulative. So, okay. So let's start at the align mark. Okay, then we roll it back. Start to join in this section here. And take that to its conclusion, which is up here. And join it on there. Just finish this part down here as well, which is where it joins at 90 degrees. We'll see how we go with that. So it looks not very much at the moment, but once you put it down on the leg and actually begin to curve it round, you can begin to see where I'm going with it. I've left the knee, and the reason I've left the knee is because I've got a knee guarding that I'm going to put on that, so I won't need to do that. So yeah, so it's going to pull and strain away from itself a little bit. That's alright, just keep playing with it, keep forcing it. And then once we apply the heat to it as well to get that sorted out, then that will work as well. Okay, so having got the templates out, so that's your right, that's your left, that's your centre. So you're left with the hamstring parts. So they join on two sides. So there are your two parts that are left. So from that point there, that's going to loop round. So we're just going to check that on the other side as well. Now, it's worth taking your time on these bits, especially if you're creating something that you've never done before. You know, don't beat yourself up about it. Has to be quick. You know, take your time. Think about what you're doing. Thinking, have I got this right? So what we're saying is that this bit joins here. And then loops round to that side there, creating more of a curve. So what I'm going to do initially is I'm going to join it at 90 degrees. Basically I'm going to form the whole thing. I'm then, after I've done that, in a couple of days time, I'm then going to cut straight down the side of it. And the reason I'm going to cut straight down the side of it is because I want to apply Velcro and elastic on the inside, so it's easy to get on and off, because you know, you don't want to be shoving your leg through it like a pair of trousers, because it'll be attached to the side of the breastplate, so it comes up here. So as it comes up here, it'll come just to the bottom of this bit here, so which is part of your breastplate, so that's the front. So it will come up to here. So I'm going to join these pieces by elastic so it doesn't have a slide down, because whenever you do leg armour, it's got this habit of sliding down. Actually, stormtroopers had the same problem on the set, and having spoke to a couple of people who were on set there, and it was then adopted by the 501st as well, is that they actually have elastic straps on the inside, which are either connected to a waist belt on the inside. So basically they have a piece of elastic joining like a webbing in a belt that just sits on the inside, and that's how it stays up. So for me, I just attach it to the breastplate because it also stops the breastplate rising up, so they kind of hold each other together, and that tends to work very well for me. That's what I've always done in the past. So now we know what we're doing with these parts. Let's get these darts all in place. So let's make sure we get both sides of it this time, huh? So the hot glue is completely cooled off now, so that detail that you've created in the hamstring muscle will not disappear. Okay, and then we need to do both edges. So do this one here. Remember, this is where the 45 in joins the 45 out, hopefully creating what would have been 90 and 90. But obviously, because of where it joins wasn't clear at the time, it was better to do it this way than it was to say, right, at this point it's going to switch to 90, which I do when I know where I'm going and I've got all my alignment marks in, but I didn't do that on this. This is where the top bit's going to join. So that's why I glued all the way up there, because we've got this bit to join as well. That's this side. all that cure. Can take these out of the way again now. Now I don't need them. Pop them out of the way. Screw the lid back on. Let's just give this glue a little bit of a hand. I'm also warming up the other piece. Because it'll help in the bending of it round. Seams again. Alright. So let's start with the darts. And then nice and sorted. Like so. Like so. I'm going to join this piece, see where it's supposed to go. So I'm going to start there, start at the bottom and work up. It's a little bit more tricky the further you go up, so I want to join further up as it tries to curve round. You have to be a little bit more controlling over your piece at this point. Plus it's going to need a little bit of stretching to get around the whole part the way I want it to. There we go, got that bit there. Let's see, maybe you would try that. There we go. That's all nicely settled. Now we've got the fun part, trying to join it on this side. Joins up to the chest piece, so it goes around like that. So bringing this piece round, and you can see this is where templates don't quite work out, but that's alright because I want to keep that elasticated anyway. What I really wanted to make sure was that I got the shape of everything else right. Okay. It seems everything still needs a bit more before I put too much tension on it. Essentially, that's where it's going to be. So, because that's going to sit below the chest piece there, that bit's going to go down there like that. Excellent. Okay, that should all do it. So just got to wait for all this glue to sort of go off properly. Problem is with doing these videos is you do tend to rush things a little bit more than what you would if you had the time. I don't want to bore you. So that's going to be elasticated round to that side like that. That's your side and front leg there, like that. And that's pretty much how it's going to work. And then your chest piece will come down here to the here. And that's how it will join. So that's a combination of using the skull piece, the sculpted technique for the front, and then the moulded piece for the back. So you've got the nice sort of line here and further in here as well. So you've got a little bit of detail at the back, so you don't feel like you've left it out. And then move around to the muscle there, and that continues the theme of what we started with the abs, and now continue to bring that round to the we did it in the arms, and now we're going to do it in the legs. So I feel like we're kind of really getting a bit of a theme here. Like I say, it's all a bit of a punt, it's all a bit of a try out. I mean, but we don't mind trying out, of course. You know, that's what we do, isn't it? Is it creative? So so I think it's good to try things out. I'm going to tend to these seams and make sure that they're all nicely finished off before I move on. But hopefully that should give us a good place to start once we've applied the heat, and then I'll repeat it on the second leg, and then we should be good to go. So hope it's been a useful technique for you. Oh, I've got a piece. Silly boy. There we go, that would make a lot more sense if I probably put that on, wouldn't it? Whoop-de-daisy. Take as well as I'd like. Boom. Okay, and nearly got you there then. Oh, perfect. So again, that kind of dictates things a little bit more as to where the shape comes, so it follows your grind. So there we go. So yeah, it's going to need a couple of elastics there to really sort of hold the thing together. But yeah, so there's your leg piece. Like I say, it was all done by hand, really. Sort of trying to gauge it, you know, get your sizing and your scaling right. It's a bit hit and miss in terms of doing it. You've got to do your best, and if it doesn't quite go together the way that you'd like I say, joining it all together now. I mean, I don't want to join it together, because if I do join it together, I've then got to get the thing apart again, ready to actually, let's do it. Okay, because what that will do is really help the curve into shape, and I'm not fully sure where I'm going to cut it yet. Sort of make it work with my leg shape. So let's just put it together, and then we can heat it up. We'll see how it goes. What's the worst that can happen? I have to build it again. Well, wouldn't be the end of the world. It wasn't that difficult. And as I'm so fond of saying, every build's a learning curve. So just keep building and keep learning. There we go. Doing that. And that. And there. That's obviously where I went as far as the glue went. Let's just put this bit together. There we have it. Not going to fit my leg without elastics, but it gives you a good sort of shape to play with. That's your front part, going down to the side of the knee. I may well trim this part here yet, just because it's sitting a little lower on the knee than what I'd like it to be. I may want to sit that a bit higher, but I can just do that with scissors, to be honest with you. I don't think it needs to be done any more than that. So, in fact, I might want to do that now. So, yeah. So, get a decent pair of scissors. So this is the bit that I'm not liking, because it doesn't really join anything. I think it sits too much on the knee. So I'm not happy about that. So I didn't put glue all the way to the end, so it's giving me a little bit of wiggle room. So what I'm going to do, let me just mark that actually. So that sits about there. So if I trim from there. Again, still following the 45 degree. Even with scissors, you still need to obey the rules. Like I say, what's the worst that can happen is I have to build it again. Wouldn't be the end of the world. Okay. There we go. That's your leg shape. A little bit of adrenaline on the edges just to soften where you did the 45 degree. Just need to replay with the some of the seams there. But overall, that's a muscle build. I'm quite pleased with it. So there we go. So that's your quads, and that's your hamstring. Hope it's been useful. Again, you're on my journey. I hope it's helpful to you. I hope it's useful to you. If it is, great. Subscribe, like, share, comment, do whatever you like. Draw a picture. But you know, stick with me, because you know, who knows where this build's going to go. Once we've done this, then you know, I'm going to sort of like move into Wolverine as well. Taking what I've learned from here, but exaggerating it to Wolverine standards and to Wolverine size. So I'll be upgrading to thicker foam and more exaggerated muscle. So this is all a learning curve for Wolverine. So yeah, stick with me. I hope you learned something. Find me on Instagram, which is UK Foamsmith and Cosplay. You can find me on Facebook, and that's UK Foamsmiths. So nice to see you. Bye.